because this is fundamental. I decided I wanted everybody to have this. So I am current on grading. So the grade you have right now is the grade you have in the course. Okay? So you may want to look at it and just remember that we are on a 7-point scale in this class. And so if you need a reminder of what that your points translate into, just let me know. Additionally, we have now officially gone into module 3, which is your last module. And it's a light module, and it's light on purpose. It only has one chapter, and then it has an appendix, okay? So that's how we're going to finish things. Now, the reason we're doing it this way is because we want to spend really the remainder of the time helping you with your term projects. So we want to make sure that you know exactly what you're doing with what we're going to accomplish. Now, everybody needs to, if you have a planner or a date book or a phone, however you keep your dates, you need to write this one down. You are in A, so your final exam date is December 10th at 2 o'clock. December 10th at 2 o'clock. December 10th at 2 o'clock. Now, it's only going to be probably about, honestly, 30 to 45 minutes, okay? So let me explain how this works. If you have your schedule, you may want to pull up your schedule too of the courses so you can see how it all plays out. Oh, I lied. Hold on, I lied. I was on the wrong page. Oh, man. Okay, this is 120, and you are 120A. It's December 10th at 11 o'clock. 11 o'clock. Okay, so everybody got that? December 10th at 11 o'clock. Okay, so if you look at what's left in the class, you have a term paper that's going to be due. Well, up above that. For the module, you're going to have one discussion forum, and you get to choose, all right? There is no journal for module 3. There's just one discussion forum, and you're going to select which one you want to do, okay? There is a test, and that test will be on November 29th, and that's going to be a lot of what we talk about on today and the next couple days. Your term project due with a video clip. If I gave you feedback on your annotated bibliography that your video is not approved, then you need to get a new one. So make sure you read your grade. Sorry, guys. I have this awful tickle. I'm not sick, it's out. And I walked up the steps because I'm trying to be better for my body. Okay, so, excuse me for that. So, what was I saying? Oh, on your video clip. So make sure that you read the feedback on your annotated bibliography. If I said it was outstanding, perfect, you're good to go. If not, you still need to resubmit a new video. If the video is questionable, I may have said it's approved, but if you can find a better one, you might want to do that. So always look. Okay, and that's going to be due by the 6th. Excuse me, that is due as soon as possible, actually. Okay, now on your term paper. Your term paper is due on December 6th. 3 to 5 pages. 3 to 5 pages. It doesn't have to be 5 pages to get an A. It doesn't have to be 4 pages to get an A. You can get an A with 3 pages. All right? because the content is what's important. I don't care about the word count. All right. You should be following your APA guidelines, and just make sure that you are checking for spelling and grammar and all that kind of stuff. Now, what's going to happen is when you submit your term paper, you're also going to submit your video. And so in the same section where you post the video, you post a hyperlink, a hyperlink to the video, and you post the essay. You guys are going to read an essay presented by 2 students, this class and in the other section. So everybody in your course, Com 120, HO2, you can look at their paper, all right, and watch their video, but you only need to do 2. What you're going to do is then write on the same piece of paper a paragraph. So you're going to do 2 paragraphs, 1 per peer evaluation. And in that, you're going to say what was good, what did you learn? And I have some prompts, you'll see those. You know, what did you learn that you didn't know before? How is this going to help you to communicate with people? Tariq? Yeah. Headphones. And it really is designed to help you to learn from your classmates. And in that way, then you're going to make some connections to what your classmate wrote. But then you're also going to do an extension. So you're going to make connections, and then you're going to do an extension with something else that could relate to another theory or term or practice that could also be used to be better informed about the people that your classmates studied. Okay, so as we get closer to each one of those, I'll give you a little bit more information, but that's what we're striving for. And that peer review paper is due on the 9th, okay? Term papers due on the 6th, and your peer reviews are on the 9th. Now, on the 10th, then when you come in for your final, what you're going to do is really just give us an oral talk, no more than 5 minutes, all right? Tell us, what did you discover in your words? What was a surprise to you, etc. So you're just going to do an oral summary of what you learned by doing this term project related to the class, okay? No test, no final exam, other than you have to be here. Okay, so that's what we've got going for the final. All right, any questions so far? Pretty good, huh? Won't be hard. Okay, now Module 3 overview, as I said, there's one complete chapter, and it's a pretty good meaty chapter. And it's all about relationships. So basically what we're doing is we're taking all of the elements that we've been studying the whole semester and putting them all together now to see how they contribute to healthy and productive, mutually satisfying relationships. Now, these relationships are all kinds of relationships. So we're going to be talking about the ones that are romantic, that are family, that are professional, i.e. business, collegial, as in college classes, etc. And what's interesting is that these stages that relationships go through is pretty much for everybody, all right? So it doesn't necessarily matter what kind. Now, I'm going to draw 6 diagrams on here, and what I'm going to do is first introduce you to DeVito. He did a 6-stage model, which I really like, because as somebody who does coaching to help supervisors and managers improve their relationships with employees and or customers or what have you, I believe that there's always a way for improvement in all relationships. And my husband and I are a classic example. You know, high school sweethearts, we had a lot of growing and learning about each other along the way. So you may want to draw this because it's going to help you to see the connection to what your textbook says are the 2 stages. Okay, it's a different model. So we start with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. Now, each one of these stages is important to recognize that there is an exit possibility. All right. Now, you may wonder, well, who cares? All right, that just makes sense that you could end a relationship with no problem. Well, the reason why this is important is because many people in dysfunctional relationships, either because of a family or a contract, i.e. in a marriage or what have you, they feel trapped. They feel like they can't get out of this relationship for a lot of reasons. In fact, when we look at the reasons why people stay in bad relationships, it's usually for awful reasons that are codependency reasons, such as, number 1, finances, right? I can't afford to move out. I can't afford to divorce this person. I can't afford to live on my own. I am stuck in this relationship. Or I can't afford to quit this job. I'll never get a job that pays me the same amount of money. I can't quit this job because I don't have another one to go to right now. So I have to put up or shut up, okay? Or I have to pass this class. It's required for my degree. No matter how much I hate it, no matter how many times I've taken it, this time I have to pass this class, right? So these are the dead ends that oftentimes people think they're in relationships. And in communication studies, we help people to recognize there's always another path. There are options. There are always options. It may cost you time. It may cost you money. It may cost you some tears, but there are options. And so when a abused partner comes in for counseling and they say, I can't get out of it, or it's my fault why this person beats me up, or what have you, that's where we have to help the person recognize you can exit. There is an exit strategy, and we're going to help you find it. Okay? That is what we call hope. And that's important so that people stay in relationships, people stay on a job because they want to be there, not because they're stuck, right? Another really poor, how many of you have divorced parents? Okay, all right, so you and I can relate. When did your parents divorce? How old were you? 12, okay. All right, I was 15. And there were a bunch of years where they stayed together for the sake of the children. Did you hear that? Or yeah. And we can't separate, we can't divorce because of what it will do to the kids. What they fail to realize is that we already knew what was going on. We already could feel the tension or see the absences or the alcoholism or whatever was causing, that relationship to not be good. The bystanders of relationships, we know it. We may not be old enough to articulate it if we're very young, or somebody works down the hall from me or in a different building, But we know when things are dysfunctional. And the more dysfunctional people remain, the worse it's going to be for the bystanders as well as for the individuals. Okay. So that's what we mean by exit. We also recognize that every relationship is going to end. It either is by choice of an exit or there is going to be a death. All right? Or in some instances, like an illness such as Alzheimer's, where the person's mind is no longer present. That's important because there are those occasions when we are looking at the relationship for ourselves and others, when we have to do reality checks. All right? And this is where I want all of you to recognize that there is goodness in taking care of yourself. To always be the accommodator is not going to always be healthy. So remember the video that we watched with the doctor who talked about, you have to have you have to take care of your own mental health. So there are going to be times when an exit is not ideal, it's not what you wanted, it is not, the choice that you would have made, but you're going to have to cope. So in this chapter, there's going to be strategies for how do you cope with the ending of a relationship, all right? Now, we're not going to go there yet. We're going to get into that later in this chapter, but just know that this is all part of it, okay? So let's start then at the beginning, because we know there's going to be an end. And at the beginning, we have what's known as contact. That is stage one in DeVito's model. Contact means that there is a connection. There is, nonverbal language, eye contact, an exchange of words, making sure you sit near that person every time you come into a classroom. There may be, going to the parties where that person's going to be at. There may be, volunteering for committee work so that you can be seen by a particular person that you want to notice you for a promotion, etc. So contacts are going to occur in a lot of different ways, okay? A contact might be the birth of a baby. That's a contact. Or for many women, it's the first time you feel the butterflies and you feel the movement of a baby inside you. Contact, all right? So there's lots of different times when it is, a sense, a smell, a taste, an eye, a sight, a hearing, etc., and sense of feeling. Okay, so that initial contact might be really positive and good, all right? Or it may not be, and if it's not good, then it exits. You're not going to continue that relationship. There's no more stage. If it is interesting and you want to go into the next stage, you kind of feel like, well, I'm kind of feeling good about this. I'm going to go into involvement. I'm going to move past the casual. And in the involvement stage, this is an important stage that calls for testing and experimentation. All right? This is where you are going to find out more in depth about this person, because you are going to be involved in discussions, in fights, in interactions, in dealing with problems, dilemmas, all kinds of different occasions. And in this stage, in the involvement, is where you are finding out the person's attitudes, values, and beliefs. Okay? This is all about attitudes, values, and beliefs. Because in this stage, there is here's a line, an invisible line. And if this person doesn't match something that's important to me, then I can't go farther in that involvement. Religion, classic example. Maybe it's really important that the person you're dating is the same religion as you. Maybe it is an attitude. Maybe it's at the job and you really believe in family time. And you are not about working extra hours because you want that time to be with your family, your kids or what have you. Your company, however, expects you to do a lot more extra hours. Okay, that's a conflict. That would be a experimenting or testing that says, this is not the company for me, and you start looking for another job. Okay, so it's also on both sides. So not only are you testing, but the other person or the entity is testing you. How far can they push you? How far can they make demands of you without you pushing back? All right. So it's give and take. It's a lot of figuring it out. It's a lot of agreeing to disagree or saying this is not a deal breaker, a kind of thing. All right. Does that make sense? All right. You can probably relate this even to some of your own companies, your own experiences. Now, what I want you to notice is this arrow means that if this doesn't go well, you can always go back to the contact and just stop the involvement. You can keep it superficial. You can keep it very, light. You can just put it right back up there. All right. But let's say that this involvement demonstrates some really, really goodness. This is feeling like future oriented. This is like, okay, I'm liking this. I can really, dig my heels into this job. I can see myself getting promoted. I can see myself being here for a long time, etc. Well, then you move into what's known as intimacy stage. Now be careful. Intimacy does not mean sex. Because remember, this is for everything, whether it's romantic or on the job or family or what have you. Intimacy means trust. So think about going back on our model that we used when we were looking at the Johari window. And remember that there is that box of, what you keep confidential, what is the hidden box. When you let somebody into your hidden box and you self-disclose information about yourself that's personal and you don't really want it to be shared with anybody else, then you have moved into trusting that person. And because those are your secrets, it's intimate, it's special. It's just between the two of you. Okay? Same thing on the job. If you move into trusting that company, and that company, promises you that you're going to get promoted in 6 months by doing A, B, and C, then you're going to do A, B, and C, trust that it's going to happen. And you're going to, give your blood, sweat, and tears for the company to make that promotion happen. Right? But that trust is critical. Because if the trust is ever broken, you will probably see an exit this way, and rarely does it go back up. It can, however, all right, in which case trust Testing, experimenting goes on again until the person passes the trust stage again, right? Now, the other thing that happens in intimacy is what we call bonding, right? And this is social bonding. This is at the time when you are letting the outside world know, in romantic couples, that you are a couple. So people start to see you together. You start to take people to the family events. You start to do that kind of thing. In the business world, this is where you accompany a particular supervisor on, some important trips or in important meetings, or you have now bonded in such a way that you become a confidant or a problem solver or a numbers cruncher or something for the person. So bonding means that other people can now see. There's a degree of publicity or being public about the relationship you have with the company, right? I love wearing my Sandhill stuff. I love everybody to know that I am a member of the Sandhills community, right? And that is my way of bonding because I trust them. All right, any questions? Okay. It seems kind of straightforward and makes sense, but there's a lot of research that goes into this. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a line, all right? Because that's when the world is good, pretty good, unless there's a trust that's broken. Then we move into if the relationship starts to cross the line, all right, and if some major trust is broken, we go into deterioration. Okay, this is the stage where it starts to fall apart. It starts to really fall apart. There's two factors that contribute to this and that deterioration. It's going to be that you are going to use a lot of self-talk where you are questioning, why do I work here? Why do I spend more time here than I do other places? Why am I in a relationship with this person when this person doesn't give me the time of day? Why do I contribute to the family's finances when my mom is using that money to spend on something that's not family related? Okay, do you see? So you're talking to yourself, and that is negative self-talk. You are questioning what is it that you're getting out of that group. Well, when it starts with self-talk, then it's actually also going to become other talk. It may be questions, or it might be expressions of frustration. You're now going to verbalize to other people that it's not working. You're going to let it out of the bag. You're going to, really, jump on somebody, confide in somebody, what have you. This is critical recognition that something is broken here. All right. This is where, this point right here is where the textbook differs from the DeVito model. Deterioration in your textbook model pretty much talks about going into dissolution or dissolving. What is this? What's the word they use? Make sure I use the right word. Yeah, dissolution. Divorce, move out, death, illness, new job, resignation, whatever it is. Okay? So this is when it's ended. You can go back. There are times when companies will give a counter offer. You go to resign, and the boss asks you why you're resigning, and you say, well, this other company is going to pay me $5 more an hour. And the boss goes, oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. We can't really afford that. And then the boss goes and talks to her boss, and then they try to say, can we find another $5, $7 to get this guy to stay? And they say, yeah, we probably could. And then they go back and give a counter offer. And a counter offer is for that person to stay, okay, instead of leaving, we're going to give you more money. All right. Now, what's interesting when I teach my business communication class, counter offers in business are short term, because that means the person is only focused on money. And if you're only focused on money, then you will always go to the higher bidder. All right. If a person is leaving for something that's more intangible, such as work hours, the days, the time of the days, or a conflicting schedule with school or something like that, that's negotiable. That's something you can manage, as we talked about earlier last week. But if they're money motivated, if you are money motivated, you're only going to be at the job for the money. All right, so deterioration. So sometimes you can come back, but more often it's going to be in this direction. Okay? More often it will be in that. Okay, now this is the part about the DeVito model that I love. And the reason I love this part is because I am a product of it. All right? In his stage, when this starts to happen, he says that it is possible to go into repair. All right? Repair means that there's still a possibility to get back what you once had, to get back the trust, the pride, the wanting everybody to know that you work there, or the trust in the relationship itself. But there are two components that must be present for repair. Well, actually, there's three. Shared responsibility. Both people in the relationship must agree to share in the responsibility. So like when we were doing our conflict resolution, it's not going to be you. You're the one to blame. It's going to be, I'm going to take responsibility for these actions and for my feelings. So this is going to require the I language, all right? But it's not that you roll over and you take all the blame. It's got to be shared. So both people have to recognize where they can give and take. The other thing in order for repair to occur are, what are you willing and able to do differently? So what's the difference between being willing and able? What's the difference between being willing to do something to repair and able to do something to repair? Are they the same? No? What makes them different?
Willing is like, do you want to repair it? And able is like,
yeah, very important. Is the motivation to save the relationship sincere? And that's your willing. Is the motivation, the drive, the desire to reinvest in that relationship. Because if it's not, it's not going to happen. All right? It's not going to happen in the job, it's not going to happen in the family, etc. Able is the capability. All right? So, this could be in a number of different ways. Are you capable of continuing to work this night shift? All right? Or is there something else in your life that says, no, I cannot do that anymore? I'm not able to do that because I don't have a car for transportation. Or I'm not able to do that because I don't have childcare in those midnight hours. Do you see? So those are two important elements. As you can imagine, this one is easier to negotiate. Yes, oftentimes. All right. This one can be, a dead end. All right. So if these elements are present, then a repair of the relationship is going to be possible. This is how my husband and I were able to go through couple counseling and repair our relationship so that we did not get a divorce. I was doing a whole lot of this and I was doing a whole lot of this because of stuff about him that was making me, go over the top. But then with couple counseling, I recognized, well, it's not all him. And I was a bitch. And I needed to take responsibility of my own behavior. And because I was willing and he was willing and we were both able, we were able to save our marriage. So I believe that this is really an important stage that oftentimes is overlooked. So in your textbook, when you read this first section, which is what I want you to read before, as we progress, above the line is known as coming together. All right. So these are the communication behaviors, communication attitudes, communication beliefs that are contributing to a combination of people, right? But this, according to your textbook, is coming apart. Okay. Under the line. All right. So deterioration, dissolution, that's the coming apart. This is the differential, is the repair opportunity in the two models. All right. So let's take a look at some other elements. Now, in this chapter, you're going to learn a whole lot more theories. And there are many theories that we attach to the different stages. And some of the theories obviously overlap the different stages. But when we take a look at our first stage, all right, attraction theory, comes into play. Now, attraction theory is not only physical appearance. It might be, and this is interesting to note, and we can kind of play with this for a moment. So, what are you attracted to when you see somebody that's on a romantic thing? What is attractive to you?
Apparently, basically super best friends. Not really all the relationship stuff.
Okay, so it's that friendship quality. That's attractive to you. Okay, good. How about you? What's attractive to you?
Consideration.
Ooh, all right. Consideration is the person being considerate. All right, and you're observing that, right? And you can see if the person's showing consideration to others or to you or what have you. And the more consideration that's being shown, the more attractive the person becomes. Yes? All right, good. How about you?
Do they have values?
Ah, and are there particular values that are important to you?
Like you said, probably consideration.
Okay, kindness, right? So that's an important value to you. And if you don't see that exhibited, then you're not going to go into contact. You're not going to have that attraction. How about you, Turi? What attracts you?
Their personality.
Okay. And do you like people who are fun or what?
Yeah, like people who are having fun, people who are who are serious. Yeah, that's the most common thing that people like in a person. They take things serious. They take things like 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 following the law, like doing studying, like working hard
Okay.
to get that money.
Okay. So you really do like serious, hard working.
Yeah.
All right. And how about you? What do you find attractive? Confidence. Confidence. So you like people who come across as they know what they're doing, they come across self-assured, that kind of thing. All right. Here's mine. I love powerful people. I think powerful people are darn attractive. All right. Now, through the years, it's changed a little bit, but I was really, my husband was student body president, captain of the varsity football team, 3-year varsity letterman for baseball, football, and basketball. And to me, he was power. And I was just like, oh, dang. Okay. So we all kind of have our own thing. Now, what's interesting is that when you look at attraction theory, there's some evolutionary components to it. All right. Gender plays a role, and that for heterosexuals, it is often seen as the male gender who is the male who displays money or some degree of affluence or comfortable with the amount of income that they make, etc., financially stable, is oftentimes a very high attraction for women. And evolutionary, it comes from an evolutionary psychology because women are wired to think about having somebody to support, help financially support children, all right? Conversely, evolutionary psychology has looked at that males are attracted to women, heterosexual couples, who look like they and act like they're going to be good mothers. Okay? They look like they're going to be childbearing, they look like they're interested, and so they are looking at a mate, literally, who is going to have children and take care of them and be motherly, etc. That gets really interesting. That's in like 400 and 500 level comm classes. Okay, but that's attraction theory. Okay, so there's different elements to it. In this one, we have what's known as relationship rules theory. All right, so going into values, okay? If you enter into, you are attracted to somebody who shares the same values, and a rule that you might have is, no two-timing, no cheating, right? Okay, so that would be a rule that would be tested, explored, experimented to make sure that both parties abided by the rules, okay? And if somebody was to break one of those rules, then there would be problems, okay? Another classic example of relationship rules is, do any of you have a baby sister? Nobody has a baby sister. Do any of you, okay. Well, this one are things that are like unwritten rules, but like oftentimes older brothers don't want their baby sisters dating their male friends. Okay, yeah, you've heard that? Yeah, okay. Because they know what their friends are like and they don't want them going out with their baby sister, all right? So there's those kinds of rules that come into play. Okay, and then the next one gets into social penetration theory. So remember, this is Shrek. All right, so no longer is it on the outside of the onion. You're really getting into the center core, penetrating into the inner being of the person, and you really get into understanding their secrets, their loves, their desires, their fears, etc. So the social penetration theory has to be present to be in this one. Then we move into right here. It's going to be the social exchange theory. All right, now the social exchange theory basically is saying that there needs to be some equality. So if the social exchange of time and energy and money and whatever is out of whack, all right, if it's not equal, and there's also what's called the equity theory, then there's a problem. And then that's going to be causing this problem right here. So equity theory could be a problem or a causation for those things. Okay, and then what's really interesting is in this section right here. It's called politeness theory. My husband's family, when his parents divorced, they were just friendly all the time. Everybody got along. Spouses and exes, they all talked to each other. They were civil. They didn't use foul language. I was just like, I couldn't believe it. I was going to first time I went to a Christmas party, and it was just like, oh my gosh, everybody's getting along. And even when his dad and stepmother left, his real mom and stepmom continued to talk nicely about them. All right, they didn't change their style after they left. I was just like, I was shocked. And so I asked my husband Rick, I said, are they always like this? And he said, well, pretty much, at least in front of us, that's what we get. My family, oh my gosh. My mother was a raving, ugly speaker about my husband, about my dad and his new wife. It was ugly. Right? Well, that's politeness theory. How do people handle the awkwardness of breakups, etc.? All right. So we're going to get into more detail on this. We're going to do some more exploration. All right. What I want you to do for next week is I want you to think of a couple who is together, and you cannot for the life of you figure out why. Right, you got somebody in mind already, I can tell. Okay? You look at them and you're going, what? That just does not make sense. Okay? And what we're going to do is we're going to explore why they really are together. All right? Bye. Have a good week, you guys. Oh, and I need to take attendance. I'm sorry?
Do we, and then we don't have classes tomorrow or Thursday, right?
No classes. You do have classes on Thursday. Just tomorrow you don't have classes. Tomorrow's the only day that is a holiday.
Yeah.
Okay, so today is the 10th. Marielle, and Tariq,
I'm here.
and Austin, and Emily. Yep. And Alex. Okay, you guys can all go. Thank you.
And it's tomorrow's Veterans Day.
I'm sorry?
And yes, tomorrow's Veterans Day.
Tomorrow is Wednesday.
Yeah. Oh, Veterans Day is today.
Today's Tuesday, tomorrow's Wednesday, and tomorrow is Veterans Day.
Yeah, I was just making sure.
Yeah,
I'm just making sure you got that.
I do. I got that. So no classes tomorrow.
Classes tomorrow.
Correct.
Right.
Tariq, you didn't turn in